what's kind of catching your attention, Ledge? Where are you allocating? What are you thinking about? Where do you want to spend your time and capital?
Yeah, there's really two things where I'm throwing my money and time at the moment. One of which being Ethos Network. Ethos Network, we talked about it on the show. Basically, this platform where you can review other users and rate them as basically EV positive or negative for the space or neutral, and contribute around that. I think it's a super interesting concept, because it's sufficiently different from Kaido, which has obviously been leading in that segment. It's sufficiently different, in my opinion, from Frentech. It works as an overlay on X, so it doesn't necessarily need to take you away from the app where you already spend hours um, of your day on, and you have a pretty easy way of using the app daily, collecting XP, vouching for other people, collecting more XP by that. So to a certain extent, I just use it as a way to park some of my ETH there, because I vouch for people who I genuinely believe in, and it's, well, obviously ETH still trends down. So I wish I could vouch with stable coins instead. That would be very, very lovely. But that's one of the things I'm currently doing. That's probably also more like on the time intense side of things, because I do spend like 20-30 minutes a day on that app. And the other thing where I definitely throw more capital at is Sonic as an ecosystem. Kind of reminds me back of the good old DeFi summer we had now, what is it, 4.5 years ago. And there's lots of things to honestly do on Sonic, a lot of them being pretty, pretty degenerate. Obviously need to start somewhere, need to start bridging your funds over. It's an EVM compatible layer one solution, which is super fast. And then what I've been doing is, because I have my stable stack, I've been going to rings.money, where you can mint stable coins there to farm points, for the Sonic airdrop, which is to come for using that ecosystem. Sonic also announced that if you deploy an app there, I think under Kronia posted that 90% of the fees that are being generated on the chain go to you as the deployer of the app. So like basically vampire attacking all other EVM compatible ecosystems and chains to go there. And then you have a couple more things happening there. You have Shadow as the biggest DEX there, where some people have been farming absurd yield. I saw one guy who used an AI tool to build a self-balancing LP bot and pushed his APY to like 50,000%, and has like a fully scripted self-balancing LP bot going on there. You have Hey Anon on the DeFi AI side of things, if you want to play around with DeFi agents. You have PainSwap for NFTs. So quite a few things going on there. TVL, I think, recently crossed 1 billion, so definitely creeping up in numbers as well. And just because there's this clear airdrop opportunity with Sonic coming up, and for those who don't know, Sonic is now the rebranded token of what used to be Phantom in the last cycle. It's something where I'm throwing a good amount of money at the moment.
Interesting. Yeah, I keep needing. I just can't get around to it at the moment. So focused on some of the other things, particularly on the business side. But Sonic is just such an obvious one where it's just worth doing, because it's going to do an airdrop. If you've got stables lying around, might as well allocate. I keep putting that on my to-do list, and I can't get around to it at the moment. But I think that's an important one. On my side, two things that I'm finding. One that I feel is like more of an opportunity. The other one is more of just something I find interesting. Arguably, it could be an opportunity as well. I don't know. The first one, I think I've shared this before, is ethereal. So the thesis for this one is that it's a DEX that it's getting built on Athena's network. Athena obviously being the one of the biggest winners of the cycle. It is $6 billion FTV token, synthetic dollar, super successful. This is the DEX that's going to be built on its network. And there's currently a program where you can just supply liquidity. Like you can just chuck in some USDE. It does have to be the Athena version of the synthetic dollar, and you just sit and earn points. So I think that's an awesome thing to do. It will, yeah, I just think that's great, right? Because essentially my maybe simplistic understanding of it, or simplistic way to explain, is like they're trying to build a hyperliquid on top of the Athena network, leveraging this already really successful version of the dollar that they've created. So, you know, it's not without risk, because obviously you've got smart contract risk and all of those things when you're providing any type of liquidity. But my favorite thing is doing things that are lazy, so I can just chuck the money in there and wait. So that is one of the things I'm looking at, or that I've provided some capital to. And the other thing is Wildcat. We mentioned Wildcat yesterday, and we thought there was a cool thing on the show, and we said, "Oh, need to do a bit more research on it." So Wildcat, as we said yesterday, is this protocol that's been created so that registered legal entities can seek under collateralized credit and create markets defining the terms they seek capital under. It's not underwritten, so it's like kind of unsecured line of credit. But the interesting thing is this protocol has is like, who is the borrower? So in this case, the borrower is actually Wintermute. Obviously, Wintermute, if we click through here to get to the details of the borrower, Wintermute is, if you don't know already, I probably do, the global algorithmic trading firm, liquidity provider, and leading OTC desk in digital assets. With billions in average daily trading volume, Wintermute offers OTC trading and provides liquidity across 60 plus centralized and decentralized exchanges. It's an active player in the ecosystem, investing in early stage Web3 projects, and supports traditional financial institutions moving into crypto. So huge entity, loads of capital, making a lot of money in general. And you have the opportunity to lend to Wintermute via this protocol. So the way it works, you can see here, I'm showing this on screen for the people who are watching in, but you may, for the people who are just listening, you've got different assets that you can lend to them, and there's a particular rate that you'll be earning. The crucial thing to note, so for example, CBBTC, you get a 3.75% APR, which is pretty strong, actually, pretty high for Bitcoin. Obviously, some people would never want to take that risk with their Bitcoin, but just putting that out there for you. For ETH, it's 4%. And for USDT and USDC, it's 12% at the moment. And in general, because the market has gone so risk off, 12% is really high at the moment, because in general, risk is way further down than it was even a month and a half ago or something. So that's like pretty attractive. I guess the question that you have to have in your mind about whether this is a good thing or a bad thing has kind of been articulated by OX NGMI, who's the founder of DeFi Llama, super helpful protocol which kind of helps people get all the important data when they're making decisions. But I think that one of the key issues that they suggest is that there's an adverse selection problem at play, which is that institutions that are safe borrowers, for example, will get their loans from TradFi, or just from other alternative avenues. Whereas the parties that end up trying to get loans in this way, like in a decentralized way, using crypto, going direct to crypto participants, will tend to be the bad borrowers that couldn't get TradFi loans. Now, this is the question everyone needs to decide for themselves. Like, is Wintermute a credit-worthy borrower that you are happy to provide that capital to? One example being thrown around was around 3AC, was like, how would you would you want to continue to finance even a big name when you don't necessarily know, or it's a bit opaque what they're up to? So look, it's definitely not without risk for those reasons. But I find it interesting. I find it interesting that this kind of credit line is being established between crypto participants and some of the bigger entities in crypto in this kind of decentralized, trustless way. So wanted to put that out there. I think I might play around with that. I don't know if Wildcat's going to have an airdrop, so I'm not entirely sure about that. I tried to figure out its details using Grok to figure out if there was like a raise or if there was going to be some type of incentive at some point. That I cannot speak to, but I find it interesting nevertheless. So